Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crit D&D. Last we left off, the party had watched the bodyguard Germaine Verhult that they had been traveling with as they escorted the Princess Amelia Ramont to the city of Fallfield. Her bodyguard Germaine Verhult sprout demonic wings and hurl himself screaming into the sky before taking his final swan dive, splattering himself on the ground in this grassland savanna of the grassland region. As they pursued to find the impact site, after hearing his scream cut short, they found only a splatter of blood and a drag path as they heard hyenas cackling all around them in the tall grass. As they recover from this scenario, the party is sent reeling after this very near death of Germaine Verhult, who, up until now, they have been calling anything but Germaine, anything with a G. So they took a moment to recover as they returned to the safety of their tree-covered campsite. Stumbling back into this cover in safety, they began to gather their things and prepare for the road. It is morning at this point, with a cool chill kind of gently breezing through this grassland savanna area. It is warm, but there's still a subtle chill. Something that Sudih feels very, very heavily. Subtly, it settles over her as she sees flashes of a vision. As she takes a step, she sees flashes of a woman draped in red silk, smiling at her with brightly burning red cinder eyes. She feels a tingling chill like gentle frostbite on her palm, and as she clenches her fist against the cold, she felt the leathered grip of a sword in her hand. In her hand, she now holds a wickedly curved blade, shining a bright golden color. The sword itself reaching out to her as a cool chill settles over her shoulders and hangs there like a shawl. In the fleeting moment that this vision occurred, Sudih took one single step, her foot falling on the second, the moment that the vision ended, now holding this new sword in her hand. This, just in case you couldn't necessarily tell right away, is a gift from the goddess, the Crimson Tactician, the goddess that Sudih follows. A gift for a job well done. Seemingly she is very pleased with Sudih pushing this, gentleman, so to speak, Germaine Verhult to his death. The blade, for just your visual reference, is effectively a golden khopesh. I will link in the description the public D&D Beyond link for this, but if you are any of my players, you cannot look at it unless you own the item. So, we'll continue on. Just figured I should share some detail. As the party collected themselves to hit the road, they spotted this slowly rolling blaze, traveling with a slow and methodical purpose across the rolling grassland hills towards them, making an altered path, one of purpose, not natural. The carriage and cart partially destroyed in the battle from before, the party took a moment to trust in Flawed's druidic abilities to change shape, and as he temporarily became a riding horse, to complete the set of 3 horses that they would need for the last few legs of their journey before they reached civilization. The party collected themselves and rode off towards the Traveler's Junction, which is roughly a day or so away, as they watched the rolling hills of dried grasses become more and more pocked with red granite boulders and stocky patches of low-boughed oak trees. Even then, with the dry grasses rattling around them, the party was observant enough to pick up on another noise. A gentle rustling of something in the tall grass beside the dirt road that they traveled on, just a little bit ahead and to the right. As the thundering of their horses' hooves startled these creatures out from their hiding place, a small flock of cockatrices leapt from the grass, screeching and flapping wildly like a flock of startled turkeys. The party chose to run from these startled creatures. After all, they are on horseback. But still, many of them took pecks and scratches as the beasts flapped around them, with the party slowly suffering the effects of the cockatrice's petrifying attacks. A horse fell to stone, turning to stone below its riders before Sudih began to turn as well. With some extremely careful, intense, high-speed horse changes between the different party members, and a use of Lemba's druidic abilities to change shape into a horse, the party was able to continue on their way with only the minor inconvenience of Sudih being turned to stone. In the battle, Sudih took a peck to the side of her head, to her face, from one of these cockatrices, and in a moment of quick thinking, gripped tightly to the stocky neck of the horse that she rode, digging her fingers into this beast's flesh just enough to keep herself from falling completely off as she turned to stone. But with a bit of magic, the effects were handily remedied, and the party was able to continue on their way through the Grassband region's hills. Before long, the party began to approach a massive spire that pierced the clouds. The strange gray-yellow stone itself was surrounded by a massive wooden structure with numerous braziers placed around a wide perimeter in an effort to illuminate the darkened grasses of the prairie around him. Finding a place to stay within the region for the evening, this is the Balding Stone Inn. This structure around the spire that has many catwalks and platforms stretching slowly upwards along this stone pillar. Deciding to stay within a shared room at the princess's request, the upper floors were limited, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Some in use, some reserved for ladies of the night that work the tavern. They decide to stay in the large communal room for events and other things. Before they go to bed, however, they took a moment to gather for some food and some drink before turning in for the evening. This tavern, run by an odd collection of gnomes and halflings, some of the smaller folk of the world, did hold a number of ladies of the evening. One such woman, a dwarven lady, caught the eye of a tiger-striped cat-like man with a dark hooded cloak that summoned her to the office of this establishment. I will note he is not an owner or proprietor of the Balding Stone Inn, simply a customer. Gathering the actual owner, a halfling woman called Maria, he collects her as well as this dwarven woman, and he and these two women climb the stairs under the careful watch of Lemba from down at a table in the bar, finding all of this fairly suspicious. Upstairs, the trio pushes past X and Sudih, who had begun to turn towards their own room for an early evening, before watching as this odd trio slowly make their way into the office at the end of the hall. About to open the door to their room, they hear this clattering of objects, wood against wood, metal against the floor, before this cry of pain and fright echoes out from the room. Creeping their way forwards, they watch as a hand, the fingers of the hand, peek out from underneath this office door, and slowly the wood of this door around the fingertips turn to this yellow metallic material, almost golden, before the hand retracts, leaving anything that it touched with this slowly spreading metallic sheen. Hearing a whimpering coming from the room, X and Sudih listened closely before hearing a muttered curse and some gentle sobbing of fright and pain, and then footsteps leading towards the door. Ducking as much out of sight and appearing as inconspicuous as possible, the two attempted to keep their intentions and the fact that they had been snooping a secret, as the tiger-striped Catman left the office. Leaving the door partially ajar, he continued down the stairs under the watch as Lemba sees him make his way down, as he walks over, catching her eye, and ousts her from her seat at a table in the back corner where she was comfortable in shadow. Ordering drink after drink, this man is at this point enjoying himself extremely well, celebrating his accomplishments, it seems, from upstairs. That accomplishment, as X and Sudih are finding out at this point, involves this dwarven woman and the halfling owner Maria. As they peek in the slightly ajar door, they notice that there are a variety of different objects of the room that have this slowly spreading golden sheen to them, almost as though they're being turned to actual physical gold before the color sort of fades and it turns to ash. The table legs that have turned to gold for a desk dissolve before their very eyes, and the rest of the desk tips its contents onto the floor and slams into the ground. A woman, Maria, the halfling, is there, though the dwarven woman is nowhere to be found. There is, however, a large pile of ash in front of the door, and very clear metallic clawed hand marks that are now ash divots in the floor leading up to the door. In the middle of the room, crawling her way out, trying to get help, is Maria, the halfling woman. And as she reaches out a hand for the two of their help, X and Sudih see as this hand is slowly turning the same golden metallic sheen, as is one of her legs. Thinking quickly, X sprang forward, pulling her short sword and chopping the arm and the leg affected just above where the gold was spreading, sending the limbs flying into the rest of the room before slowly turning into ash. Maria, the halfling woman, understandably screams in pain and fright before passing out from the pain and blood loss. The severed limbs now nowhere else to be found. Determined at this point to protect and at least somewhat save this woman, the two collect her up. After all, she is a halfling, so she is fairly small compared to them. They collect her up and bring her to their room, where they tend to her wounds to stabilize her in an effort to support her recovery. As the party otherwise slowly makes their way into the rest of this communal room, they tell the story of the room that slowly turned to gold and ash. In taking a look, the tiger stripe man is gone, having left the bar shortly after that he was not being watched. Understandably afraid at this point and concerned for this apparent danger, the party kept a vigilant watch over the course of the evening, spending the night at a chair by the window or otherwise occupied. The rest of the party enjoyed themselves in the next most comfortable night's sleep, since they were all in the city of Timber Falls, where they met at a carnival. That will be all for this session here. So thank you all for tuning in to this episode of our Ravion campaign. Stay tuned for more episodes, and remember, so if you want to be updated on when we do put out more videos and more episodes for the sessions of our campaign or for the world building around the campaign, subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of when this happens. At the same time, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, if you want to understand how things fit, if you think you can solve the ciphers that I leave at the end of each video, by all means, put it in the comments. We'll see just how many of you can get these kinds of things right. Otherwise, as always, Remember, it doesn't take that much to be a difference out here in the real world. So, be the difference that you want to see out here. Thank you all, and I will see you next time. Bye.